that good a representative, bringing up our middle school representative, Sue Young.
There is no greater weapon than a prepared mind. This quote means that the more knowledgeable and prepared that you are, the more likely you are to take control of advantageous situations in your favor. Good morning. My name is ZHUGE LIANG, famous strategist, military general, and inventor, also known as Kong or the Sleeping Dragon. I was born 1,843 years ago in 181 Yangtze in the present-day Shanxi province, China. I was born as ZHUGE LIANG in an unknown month in 181 AD Yangtze, China. My mother's name was never known and my father's name was ZHUGE LIANG. I was one of 5 siblings of which only 2 other names are known. ZHUGE Jin, my older brother, who lived from 174 to 241 AD. And my younger brother, ZHUGE Jun, who had an unknown lifespan. I also had 2 older sisters. My siblings and I were born into a wealthy and fortunate family. In fact, we were born into relative poverty. Unfortunately, my siblings and I were all orphaned after birth. Despite this, my life started to turn around when I was found and catered for by my uncle ZHUGE Jun. Growing up, I lived in relative isolation with my uncle in a small shack in the woods. I tried my hardest to obtain information from the people I lived with due to being unable to receive a formal education. I based my opinions of good and bad solely off the principles of legalism and Confucianism. Legalism and Confucianism are philosophies on social order, good and bad laws, and morals. During this time, I was also nicknamed the Sleeping Dragon because the people I lived with thought I had hidden undiscovered talents, like possibly being gifted intellectually. After my childhood, I became a hermit who lived in the woods. Meanwhile, there was great rising conflict in China. After the emperor died suddenly, 3 powerful warlords arose: Liu Bei, Sun Quan, and Cao Cao. Roughly 207 AD, at about age 27, Liu Bei, the least powerful of the 3 warlords, began to seek my help. Liu Bei was also known for being more merciful and less sinister than the other warlords. Liu Bei tried to find me 3 times before we finally met. Initially, I was impressed with his humility and how he earnestly wanted to save China. Because of this, I decided to dedicate my life to his cause. Even though Liu Bei's army was significantly smaller and weaker than the other warlords' armies, I thought of strategies that included defensive tactics for armies that were severely outnumbered. I also increased his army size with an impressive amount of trained volunteers. With my help, Liu Bei's army grew much more powerful and won several battles. Around this time, I decided to marry and potentially have children. I decided to marry Lady Huang, the Chancellor and State Regent of Shuhan in 208 AD. I also had a child by name ZHUGE Zhang, who lived from 227 to 263 AD. Unfortunately, I was never able to give him enough attention due to my military career. During my lifetime, I was part of many important battles and campaigns. Some of the more important ones include the Battle of Jieting and the Battle of the Red Cliffs in 208 AD. In this battle, I worked with another strategist to cleverly drive out Chautauqua's forces with minimal casualties. One time, while heavily outnumbered, I said to Liu Bei, "The wise win before they fight, while the ignorant fight to win." With this quote, I implied that the wise individual is someone who anticipates challenges and plans effectively, ensuring that they have a clear advantage before engaging in any conflict. In contrast, the ignorant person is someone who often reacts to events without foresight, often engaging in conflict without a smart plan. Suddenly, during my later few campaigns, Liu Bei's health began to fail. He began to progressively lose strength and energy. Meanwhile, the enemy's forces only pressed harder and harder, which only added to my stress. Liu Bei began to make rash decisions, and one time he got 700,000 soldiers killed. Oh no! I was furious that he hadn't put final moments on his deathbed, Liu urged his son to listen to everything I said, even advising me to take control of the throne if his son was unqualified. Staying loyal to his cause, I tried to the best of my ability to teach his son everything he needed to know. After his death, I worked as the chancellor in the state region. During my life, I had many struggles. I was orphaned after birth. I always overworked myself. I had to try to help win the war with the smallest army. I indirectly caused the death of many people, and I was constantly being depended upon by common people, soldiers, and the obeyed. On the other hand, I've also benefited society and inspired many positive changes, such as trying to reunite China, my many useful inventions, and my supporting of a fair, role-learning politician. Similarly, I've also achieved many feats, such as creating a bow that shoots several arrows at once, a multi-shooting crossbow, being one of the most respected and smartest men in ancient China, and I was the first person to perfect the 8 dispositions, a series of complex military tactics. During my later few years, my health began to fail, and I knew I only had a few years left to live. Knowing this, I worked harder than ever, developing new clever strategies and tactics. During my last few campaigns, I led a campaign into Wei territory. In this campaign, I unfortunately died of unknown illnesses. In the year 236 AD. My death was kept a secret for a week for fear that the Wei would attack me. As you can see, I was a positive impact to society because of my attempts to reunite China, my service in the military, my many useful inventions, and my supporting of a much fairer world and politician. My legacy still lives on today through my written works that are being practiced to this day. Additionally, stories of my many achievements are passed down from generation to generation of my many descendants. Finally, I leave you with one final phrase, quote, "First organize the inner, then the outer. First organize the great, then the small. First organize yourself, then others. Teaching others to address bigger situations first, then small ones. But also that effective leadership first comes with self-discipline and self-awareness." Thank you.